Hello, everyone. I'm Svetlana. Please welcome to my session. Thanks for choosing my session. And let me introduce myself briefly. I'm a teacher trainer. I have a master's degree in teaching English as a second language here in Spain. I work as a director of studies. I often participate as a speaker, not only like an attendee, but as a speaker at the conferences. Here you can see the ones I was a speaker. I'm a Best Thesis Award holder, which was about technology-mediated instruction. And also, since I'm really into it, I like to share my ideas. And please, if you want to stay in touch and keep in touch, follow my Instagram page. So let me start. My session today will be divided in 3 parts. First, I will introduce what is pragmatics, why shall we teach pragmatics, and then we'll discuss some types of activities you can create, and then at the end I'll share the resources, ready to use in your classroom so you can teach pragmatics successfully. Sometimes we don't say exactly what we want and what we mean, and we still manage to understand each other. So if you ask me, can you close the window? I'll probably interpret it your question as a polite request rather than question about my physical ability. The reason we can't figure out what's going on is because we don't just look at the words and sentences for meaning. We also look at the context. So let's have a look at the definitions of pragmatics. They are given by researchers, but popular and famous researchers in this field. So Crystal defines pragmatics as a language from the point of view of users, especially of the choices they make, using language in social interaction. Pragmatics is a study of linguistic acts and the context in which they are performed. And here is really important for our kids and for us to understand, our students, to understand the difference between semantics and pragmatics, because usually most of the time, what are we teaching? Yeah, most of the time we dedicate to teach semantics. We teach meaning of the words, meaning of the phrase, meaning of the expression. So semantics corresponds to linguistically encoded meaning, while pragmatic corresponds to any context-dependent meaning. So this is really important to understand at this stage. Yeah. So now let's talk about the. Yes.
I don't know if you wanted to share your screen.
It is shared.
Could you try sharing again? If you unshare and then reshare, because we cannot see it at the moment.
Right now, can you see the screen?
That's it. If you start the presentation slides again. Great, thank you.
Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, that's great. Thanks ever so much.
Okay. So so let's talk about the reasons why shall we teach pragmatics. Educators should teach pragmatics because it is an essential component of communicative competence, which is the ability to use language effectively in social context. So pragmatic knowledge includes understanding of social norms, cultural conventions, and context-specific language use. Without pragmatic knowledge, the learners may experience pragmatic failure. Let me give you the examples of pragmatic failure. For example, the student is using inappropriate language in a formal setting, or the student is using slang in a job interview, or failing to understand or use appropriate non-verbal cues. Or the student misinterprets the indirect speech acts such as sarcasm or irony. Also, the student can use language that is too direct or too indirect in the given context. For example, making a blunt request in a polite settings. So why? Let's talk about the main theories. The main theories we need to know to avoid. So our students to avoid this pragmatic failure, yeah. We have to study we have to do some research, yeah. So the first one is miscommunication research. Because it will actually help us to develop and to create the materials based on this research. So the first research is called miscommunication research. It provides micro-social linguistic analysis of naturalistic encounters to identify problematic features at various levels of language use. The second one is contrastive pragmatics. This involves cross-cultural and cross-linguistic comparison of speech act realization patterns to identify similarities and differences between languages. And the third one is called interlanguage pragmatics. It examines how language learners transfer their pragmatic knowledge from their first language to their second language. What a speaker intends to communicate is characteristically far richer than what she directly expresses. So the bridge from what is said to what is communicated is built through implication. So let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this sentence, at this simple conversation. Sorry. Arthur, can you tell me where the post office is? I'm a stranger here myself. I've just moved to this town, and so far I'm finding it pretty tedious. I haven't met a single person who is willing to talk about anything except next week's local elections. I'm a stranger here myself. So here you can see that this the same sentence is used in two different contexts. These are two distinct utterances which may have different utterance meanings, but since the sentence meaning is identical, the difference in utterance meaning must be due pragmatic inferences induced by the different contexts. So let's have a look at this and the types of inferences. So the first one is called particularized conversational. Let's read the example. So let's read the example statement. I saw John at the party, but he left early. So the implication will be John didn't enjoy the party. Generalized conversational implication. She's a doctor. She's knowledgeable and skilled in the field of medicine. Presupposition. John is going to his favorite restaurant again. So John has been to the restaurant before. Entailment. All cats have tails. If an animal is a cat, it has a tail. So this it's really it's essential to know the difference between these types, so we can come up with different activities, and I will show you later show you later why we should know this theory, because this theory you actually need, and you will use it to create your materials when you use, for example, artificial intelligence, or you or you don't know how to write the proper task. So activities could be like this: for each pair of sentences, identify the likely implicature carried by a reply, or for each of the sentences, and determine what inference is most likely to be triggered by the statement. For each of the examples, determine whether the inference triggered by the statement. I'll show you the examples later in the resources. So now I'd like to talk about the speech act theory. The founder of this theory is Cyril. So you can read about this theory in the internet. So a speech act is an action that speakers perform by speaking. For example, offering thanks, greetings, invitations, making requests, giving orders. And there are two types of speech acts: a direct and an indirect. A direct is one that is accomplished by the literal meaning of the words that are spoken, while an indirect speech act is one that is accomplished by implication. Indirect speech acts are a special type of conversational implicatures, because misunderstanding and mix-ups are especially characteristic of cross-cultural communication. So let's have a look at this example. Let me read it. I love your left hand. And the friend had a cup of tea in his hand. The friend, in reaction to my utterance, transferred the cup to his right hand. That prompted me to say, I love your right hand. My friend smiled, recognized my desire for tea, and told his sister, my friend wants tea. My friend's utterance addressed to his sister in reactions to mine was a representative. A simple statement, my friend wants a tea. So the girl rightly interpreted the context of the representative to mean a directive. In other words, her friend was ordering her to prepare some tea. So this brief dialogue represents two statements here that perform different kind of act: request and command. So in order to understand what the speaker's statement, which was I love your left hand, and which meant I want a cup of tea, the speaker, and in order to understand it, the speaker and hearer should consider the following things: background circumstances, knowledge about the speaker, psychological state of speaker, the kind of situation, and bearing all these conditions in mind, we will try to I'll show you the type of activity, and you will choose the phrase to perform the request. So here is a prepositional content for the request. So here are 6 different phrases. Do you have any tea? Could you possibly give me some tea? I would like you to give me some tea. I would really appreciate a cup of tea. Will you give me some tea? Are you going to give me some tea? So this theory is elaborated by Austin, and here he gives the interpretation, or in which situations you can use the particular phrase. So the sentences could be understood as a request if spoken in the right context. So here are the contexts. Could you possibly give me some tea is a more polite way of asking. I would really appreciate a cup of tea is a polite request. I would like you to give me some tea sounds more demanding. Will you give me some tea? Is a polite request. Are you going to give me some tea? Sounds impatient and even rude. So this type of tasks you can create yourself, and here are the different activities or different tasks you can actually you can come up with. So for each of the following indirect speech acts, identify both the literal and the primary act. The situation, the background, circumstances. Young woman to man who has just proposed to her. I hope that we can always remain friends. What's this? So you ask the students to guess what the speech act is. It's what does it mean? What does he want to say with this phrase? Yeah. So they have to come up with the word refusal. Yeah. Based on conditions for requests and using your own examples, try to form one indirect request for each of the following strategies. Can you proofread my essay for me? So, the strategy, convention, and shared interests. I know you have a strong eye for detail and a passion for literature. I would appreciate any feedback you could provide on my writing. So these types of tasks will help the students to use the right phrases, the right expressions in the particular situation. So basically, you can give the situation or backgrounds, describe the background circumstances, and ask your students to come up with the dialogue, or you can actually provide the parts of the dialogue and the students have to come up with the background circumstances. Yeah. So let's talk about the resources. The resources you can use ready resources you can use to teach pragmatics in your classrooms. So this is the list. First of all, I want you to introduce I want to show you my yesterday conversation with ChatGPT. So I asked to give the examples of conversational implicatures, and he came up with these examples. Example: I have a lot of work to do tonight. Implicature speaker implies that they will not be available to socialize or engage in other activities. So then I asked to make a matching activity from that examples, where students have to match the statement with its implicature. So he came up with column A and column B. And then I asked him to arrange it in a table. And this is the activity you can actually, this is already the activity you can do with your students. Yeah, the students have to match, which in this format is, it's a ready format. It's a ready exercise for your students. So this is why it is important to know the theory, because if you don't know the theory, if you don't study pragmatics, or you don't read some research on it, you won't come up with these prompts. In the presentation, I left the authors' names and the year, so you can find all these theories in the internet. Next resource I want to share with you is called Amazing UK, the website, the platform where teachers can create their own materials, their own lessons, not only create, they also can sell it. And if you go to community tab and type in the topic you would like to teach or the speech act you would like to teach, yeah, you can type and find it here. For example, making polite requests. It was here already, this one. Let's have a look at these lessons. It's a ready to teach lesson. You just copy it to your drafts and share it with your student. So as you can see here, first we discuss the question. In what situations do you usually make requests at work? So the students have to type the answer here. Leading. Imagine you need to ask your boss for a day off, discuss the questions. How would you approach this situation? What factors would you consider when making the request? What potential outcomes, positive or negative, could arise from different approaches? Make decisions. You will approach your boss. When, yeah, what time of the day? At the beginning of the work day, at the middle of the work day, at the end of the day. You will ask the boss, what will you use, what instruments, by email, face-to-face, during the online meeting, or by sending a text message. Explain your reasons behind the decisions you've made. Consider the impact of each situation, medium. So then you read the text, which the question is, what do you think is the best way and time to make your request based on the text? And then the students listen to the dialogue.
Come in.
Hey, boss, I wanted to talk to you about something.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Well, I was thinking, I want to take a day off next week.
Oh, okay. Any particular reason?
Not really. I just need a break, you know?
I see. Well, we have a lot of projects and deadlines coming up. I'm afraid we can't accommodate your request at this time.
But I really need this break. I've been feeling stressed lately.
I understand. But we all have responsibilities here. Your absence would affect the team's productivity. Can you consider rescheduling or finding someone to cover your tasks?
I hadn't thought about that. I guess I could ask a coworker. But I'd rather not.
It's important to consider the impact on your colleagues when making such requests. We need to maintain a smooth workflow. I suggest you plan your time off in advance and provide a valid reason that aligns with the company's policies.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for considering it anyway.
So the students listen to the dialogue, then they have to answer the question, why was the request unsuccessful? Consider tone, politeness, clarity, and professionalism. So you basically discuss this question with the students, then they listen to another dialogue, and they answer the question, why was the request successful?
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Is this a good time?
Good morning, Sarah. Yes. How can I assist you?
Thanks. I wanted to request a day off next Friday. My parents' 25th wedding anniversary is coming up, and we have a special celebration planned for them.
How wonderful. Congratulations to your parents. But do you have to take a whole day off? We have a lot of projects and deadlines coming up.
Well, this is a significant milestone for my parents. And as their only child, I want to be present to honor their love and celebrate with them. It means a lot to me and our family. I've thought about it and wanted to assure you that I've already organized everything. I'll finish all my pending tasks before I leave, and I'm even willing to put in some extra hours this week.
So the students, here you discuss with the students, what phrases did she use? What were the stages of the request? Yeah, what are the main expressions you can use in particular situation? Okay, so then they listen again, finish the sentence with the missing words. Here it will help them to study the expressions they need. Then they study again the phrases they can use to make a request, make their notes here. Then you can do a role play. You give the scenario. Student A is requesting support from a colleague for a project. Student B is busy with their own task and is not immediately willing to help. So this is what I was talking about providing these different scenarios for your kids so they can come up with the dialogue, with their own dialogue. and use where they can use appropriate language. If it's a formal setting, then they can't use slang, for example. The next scenario, student A is asking for permission to work remotely. Student B needs them to be in the office. Write down target phrases to prepare for the dialogue. Student A request, student B a manager. So here the students type in their phrases. Then they can perform and they can actually record their own dialogue here. Then you can watch the video and say what the problems Anna has at work, discuss the video discuss the video, answer some questions. I wanna show more lessons which I found really interesting. This one, for example, soft skills communication, introduction to soft skills. Objectives, then vocabulary related to communication, improve listening skills, and then English idioms connected with the good or poor communicators. We have to show this difference with to the kids. We have to teach them to communicate well, to deliver their idea. Think of a good communicator that you know. Explain why you think they are a good communicator and record your answer. List as many facets of good communication as you can and choose the top 3 that you think are the most important. Next one, again about soft skills. Here, that students will learn about persuasion, how to persuade, about strategic communication. Let's have a look at the lesson. Let's briefly, Advertising. Advertising is the most common type of attempted persuasion that we are ever exposed to in our lives. It is literally everywhere. So basically, you can see the image, you discuss the images. What does each picture show? What do you think is the main, is the aim in each case? What different techniques are being used to achieve the aim? So here are the signs of persuasion. How do you persuade? What words do you use? Yeah. Watch the video, make a note of any phrase that is unclear for you, and we'll discuss and contextualize it in the video. Useful language we provide here, yes, kind of scaffolding here. Techniques, of course, you have to teach the techniques. Look at 8 different persuasion techniques: repetition, make it personal, rhetorical question, short, powerful sentences, exaggerated claims. Next lesson, which I also found interesting and relevant. This is interpersonal communication, business English. I loved these questions, like what makes it easy to talk to someone. So here you can discuss and ask and try to elicit from your students their ideas. Have you ever had a great conversation with a complete stranger? How do conversations between men and women differ? Have you ever said something to someone that you wish you hadn't said? The text about interpersonal communication, the matching activity here, listening. So here's a comparison between general English and business English. The students have to come up with the phrases. So you expect me, or is the expectation here? Yeah, the more sounds more formal. General English, why would I go? Can you help me understand? So try to explore this, amazing.uk. I'm sure you'll find different topics, different speech acts you can teach, especially there are many lessons created created on the ways in the scenarios, let's say episodes, on Netflix series, yeah. So you just have to type the prompt here, and it will come up, I'm sure. Also, you can use the filters, free. You can choose the language, level of your students, and age. Now let me introduce the next platform, which is Nearpod, and you have to go to Nearpod library, and you have to type your topic. Yeah, so I just typed cross-cultural communication, and here what comes up, what kind of lessons. Let's have a look. Nonverbal communication, types of communication devices, effective communication definitions, more. The future of communications. Oh, cultural influences on learning, cultural comparison, communication in the workplace. In this lesson, students will learn about communicating with peers and supervisors. Your students will be able to identify different types of communications and their appropriate uses. So you can click on preview, and if you like the lessons, you add it to your lesson and teach it. So objectives. Compare different forms of digital communication and their role in the workplace, apply your skills and practice various types of communications in different scenarios. Oh, interesting. Let's have a look. Nearpod is really interactive platform. I like it a lot, but one thing you shouldn't forget is that this platform is not for ESL learners, it's for native speakers, yeah, but you always can, when you add it to your lessons, you can edit it and let's say add your questions or polls or quizzes or matching activities, but and use just the content, yeah, or use as a use it to deliver the content, the slides, but you can always change the activities. Peer communication, supervisor communication. What is communication? The board where this is a collaborate board, it's like padded where students from their devices can leave some comments and answer the questions, and they can actually like their answers. A really interactive platform. What are some tips, other tips for good communication skills? How do you communicate? Stuff. And so here are the tips. Formal or informal, again. So can you think of situations where formal or informal communication is needed? Use the chat below to write down the situations, people, places, or settings where formal communication is needed and informal communication is needed. Try to identify 3 or more situations in each. So here are the examples given. So please have a look, please explore this platform. I'm sure you will find many interesting already lessons you can teach to your kids. Let's read here the related lessons: workplace and volunteering behaviors, communicating with peers or supervisors. So please explore it, add it to your library, and edit and teach it. The next tool I want to show you, I'm sure most of you know it, is called twi.com. And here where you can actually, you can use it to create, when you go to tools, you can choose, let's say, reading. And here you can create a text on a certain topic. Then based on this, based on the text or role play or dialogue you've created, you can create other tasks like true, false, create open questions to text, create ABCD questions for a text. The next platform I wanna share with you is the @puzzle.com. In the search tab, you just can tap the speech act you want to teach. In my case, I typed apologizing or apology, and here basically is the video with embedded questions. And you also can add it and edit and ask the questions you want. Yeah, let's have a look.
Just save them. Lisa, hey, I know we've had our issues, but I'm ready to be a better sister to you. So we should just hug. Let's hug it out, huh?
So you can change you can change this multiple choice question or add open-ended question, and let's say in this case you'll say how did she start to apologize, what phrases did she use, and the students you can give 3 different answers so they can choose the right one, or it could be an open-ended question.
Hug it. Luisa can't lift an empanada. Mariano's nose looks like a...
So yeah, next platform, it's not a platform, it's a website. It's called American English state.gov resources teaching pragmatics, where you can actually find different the information about different speech acts and ready tasks and exercises. Let's say, let me open complaining successfully, let's say this one. So here, this lesson in teaching pragmatics aims to help students learn how to make complaints during service encounters. Here you can find click on the text PDF and you download and teach it. It's ready to teach. Giving and responding to compliments. Let's have a look. Giving and responding to compliments, the level, time, 40-50 minutes, description of the activity, procedures. This is actually a really good way to learn how to create your own materials. So you can use it as a model. Examples of interactions, responses to compliments. That's a nice shirt you are wearing. That's a nice shirt you are wearing. Well, I just got it. It was pretty cheap. So, and the response types. These are all the resources I want to share with you. I hope you will try to explore them and you will try to use them. Thank you all for attending my my session. I hope you really liked it, and let's keep in touch. Here are the QRs of my LinkedIn profile and Instagram profile. Please don't hesitate, text me, ask any questions, and maybe you need some materials, or maybe if you need this presentation, I can send it to you directly.